so I understand the fish and wildlife. Their point of view is like, we should minimize because these birds are sacred, and people are buying and selling these feathers, which they shouldn't,
And yeah, that creates a market for poachers to
exactly.
come. And when a lot of us, these have been passed down for generations,
Yes.
or someone was lucky enough to find one in the wild while they're out. We're not just going around killing eagles and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and then there's the whole thing about the depository in Colorado, because only federally recognized natives, you have to fill out an application to get birds from the depository in Colorado. But that excludes state recognized natives. That's only for federally recognized natives.
Yeah, our tribe we have 2 condors, and we're gonna acquire a third condor.
Okay.
But a lot of our land that we oversee is it's the redwoods up north,
Okay.
and so as we're trying to reintroduce condors into America and bring back the population. That's one of our activism things that we're doing to preserve wildlife. We have a lot of endangered species on our lands that we take care of.
Yeah, there's like a whole new wave of new agers, and it's really good that you're making this podcast, because you're educating people. It's like, if you want to know about Native traditions, if you want to know about peyote, if you want to know about like our culture, the best thing is to leave it alone. To leave it alone in the sense of, if you're not really serious, and if you're just a tourist in ceremonies, then maybe subscribe to your channel, maybe push a like, or maybe you could donate to have better resources, so you can spread the word better, and what have you. But but in regards to just because it's something, it's like a new toy for you, just leave it alone.
I feel like if it's meant for you, it'll present itself. It'll come to you. It'll be natural. And the other important thing is to understand that it's a commitment.
Extremely.
It's not something that you just pick up and do. It's not like you're having fun with your buddies at the beach and you ate a couple mushrooms. That's not what any of this is.
No.
Yeah. It's something that you're committing your entire life to. It becomes a part of your culture. It becomes the way that you walk and carry your life and your practice. It's like when people, even with like Catholics or Christians, who are devout, they're gonna go to church every Sunday, and they're gonna pray. They're gonna pray over their food every one of their meals. They're gonna pray over it, and that's the type of level of commitment that people who truly practice these ways of life are bringing Native ceremonies into their life. Like even before we started, we saged the room, and I was burning copal, and it like, for even the small things, that's the way that I feel like we should be practicing our Native ways.
Yeah. There's a big right now. I like to use a metaphor of being a Walmart greeter, meaning that are you a host or are you a guest? Okay, so most of us who in life, obviously, we don't, whether you're going to school, whether you're doing this, or with relationships and starting a family, but are you going to be a host or are you going to be a guest? Because if you're always a guest in the community, you're not establishing roots. You're not really, you're just a guest to a community. You're just there for a brief moment in time. You're just passing by. But are you going to be hosting something? Are you going to be that Walmart greeter? Because when you're a host to something, to a community, that means that you have established roots in that community. You have elders. You have elders who did. If you stray off the beaten path, you're gonna have elders that are gonna pull your ear and bring you to the side and scold you in front of everybody. You're gonna have your mom and dad around. You're gonna have those children around. You're invested in a community. So and then during this podcast, and the really important thing is that when people come into these ceremonies, you have to ask yourself, after the whole honeymoon thing, after the glare and stuff, after the inner politics and who's with who and who did what and blah blah blah, like, are you a host or are you a guest?
I feel like my my ancestors to pull me by the ear, not just my elders. You know, they'll knock me back into a path if I start straying too far away. They'll have life coming and smack me up a little bit and be like, "No, you're going the wrong way." Yeah.
Así no. Así no. And then so that's a very for us to bring communities together. Then that means there's like a whole wave of youngsters building families, you know, going to school, getting your education, going to trade school, you know, whether it's and then what happens to a lot of Chicano culture is, you know, especially grew up in the 90s, it was mostly like, you know, I don't ditching school, going to prison, being gang affiliated. You know, I'm down because I'm a gangster. I'm down because I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But you're just when you get older, you're creating that all that trauma. You're just carrying it with you. Like I have a lot of cousins of mine who are in prison. I have a cousin of mine, my cousin David. He's been down 19 years. He's a month younger than me. You know, why? Because he was a heroin addict. Why? Because he was robbing stores, right? And he's been to ceremonies with me. And I have another cousin who shot in drive-bys, you know. But that comes from that comes from that generational trauma of my mom broke that cycle.
Mm-hmm.
She broke that cycle. You know, my other aunts and uncles, they're still stuck in that cycle. They haven't learned to forgive. So going to school is cool. You know, buying a home is cool. Running ceremonies, being part of a community, being something greater than you, being of service, chopping wood, showing up early, raking the grounds, writing grants. That's cool. You know.
I feel like you bring up a good point because a lot of times with Native people, we don't find the culture until something has incredibly impacted our life, whether that be an OD or you get arrested or you do something that you get severely ill and you find yourself in the ER on your deathbed and then you survive. And these are the type of things that finally wake us up and realize that we need to go find ceremony and we need to connect with our culture because there's something severely missing in our soul that's not giving us that love and connection that we need to make us the people that we need to be. I want to be able to, that's another thing with my podcast is to bring that culture into people's lives to make them want to do it without needing to hit rock bottom. Unfortunately, like with me, I had to go through a rock bottom moment before I realized I needed to connect with my culture. I mean, I did the right things. I went to the Air Force. I started going to college, but I ended up getting arrested. I went to jail. And then when I found myself in that cell and it's cold and you're hungry and there's no one there for you, then that's when I just realized like what I think is cool. I'm trying to connect to this rap hip hop culture. I'm trying to connect to like what's cool and then you look around you and then you see the people in jail and you're like, this is my future if I continue in this path with this. And this isn't what I want to leave behind as a legacy. And I feel empty inside at the end of the day because when you are taking a drug or you're being bad in the streets, you don't realize how alone you are or how hurt you are until you find yourself staring at a wall and you have nothing but yourself to look into and you realize, dang, I actually I'm empty. I don't have anything. What is this? And I don't even have my family that loves me to kind of make me feel that warmth. You realize you're cold. And I feel like ceremony provides that inner warmth, that fire.
I'm a big movie guy. I'm a big movie guy. So one of my favorite movies was The Godfather, right? So one of the first scenes of The Godfather, the Undertaker goes up to Don Corleone and then asks him for his favor. And then the elder, the Undertaker, and then he said he went, you know, his daughter and what have the whole story, and then he went to the court first, and they give him justice, and he's asking Don Corleone for justice, and then the Godfather says, "Why didn't you come to me first? No. Why didn't you believe in me first? You know, now you come to me. Now you want to be close to me. Now you want my services. So what did I do for you to lose respect for me? No. So in regards to cultural identity, regarding ceremony, regards to that Sundance tree, the fire, this holy medicine. No. So from that perspective, it's like, oh, now you want to be, now you want my love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still gonna give it to you, obviously, because it's who we are. It's in our blood. No. Pero ahora, like now, resulta, now you coming around. And then so we have to jumpstart that and say, you know what, wait a minute. Our ceremony should come first. Boom. No, our traditions should come first. Boom. No. Instead of finding love in the streets and doing this, doing that, and other recreational drugs and hip hop and what have you, and say, wait a minute, for me, being of service is, our ceremonies, our culture comes first. You know, so we should never. And then one of our elders, one of my late elders, he has a story. He said, "Peyote, don't never let it go. Don't never let it go."